Hey, welcome. Broadcasting for the Pineapple Pentagon out across the internet on gun channels. It is the world famous Lock and Load show. And tonight's topic is peak guns. We have a few other interesting topics too. But the main thing I wanted to get at, try and have everybody think about is well, basically what happened is I was watching the Ice Age Farmers YouTube channel, and he said that because of the weather patterns and some crop failures across the world, he thinks we are at peak food, in which means that this is basically the high point where you can get food is abundant, you can get it for as cheap as it will ever be. And from here, it only gets worse. So I was just thinking, are we at peak guns at this point? Is everything going to go? Is everything basically is ammo, guns, and accessories as plentiful and inexpensive now as it ever will be or was, and easily accessible, or is it going to get better or worse from here? And as I'm sure everybody knows, the gun grabbers are out in force. Dianne Feinstein looks like she's not getting support from the Democrats because she's not far left-wing. She's not enough of a left-wing maniac to suit the people in San Francisco, I guess, which is, I know that I'm tired of looking at her face. And she definitely leads the charge. But the guy that they want to vote in instead of her is even worse. So heads you lose, tails you lose. But it sure would be nice not to have to look at her face anymore. So I tend to think that, I don't know what everybody else's opinion is. I tend to think that I think we have already pretty much reached the high water mark, and everything will, as far as the accessibility is, I don't know if it can get any better than it is. There's a lot of laws and hoops they make you jump through that you didn't used to have to jump through. But as far as just the number and types of weapons that are still available, it's hard to imagine. You can get almost anything if you got the money and are willing to jump through the hoops. There are more hoops than there used to be, and they're putting up more. I think that President Trump has the wrong idea, because he seems to think that he met with the NRA and they're all good people, but the NRA people that he met with are just the top leadership people. The NRA isn't I think Dano he met Wayne LaPierre once in the airport, and who said that, it's not us. It's not the top leaders. It's all the members of the NRA that get stuff done. So Trump I think the membership isn't going to like Trump thinking that he could just by executive fiat write out bump stocks without even Congress having to vote on it. I know that if freedom is going to spread its wings and take flight across this nation, which is my hope, then the leadership won't come from Washington, D.C. That's just a swamp. It won't come from anybody. It won't come from lobbyists. It won't come from the Supreme Court. It'll come from the people who just won't, pretty much who will ignore, any unconstitutional gun laws. And it won't be constitutionality in the end should be determined by the people. We aren't going, Americans are not, there's a couple things, and there's 5 things that Americans won't do. And I think I repeat myself in this, but they aren't going to turn in their guns. They aren't going to turn in their ammo. They're not going to stop buying guns, and they're not going to stop buying ammo and reloading ammo. And we're really not going to march down to some camp to turn in our guns. And I don't think there's enough police to go knock on every gun owner's door in America. And if they start doing that, the results won't be very good for anybody. If they could find police to do that kind of terrible duty. I think the people are just kind of used to the idea of freedom, and they can stop like people selling bump stocks on the internet. They might be able to do that. And I don't think that people actually care about bump stocks that much. But the people care about freedom, and the Second Amendment is a pretty simple freedom. People have put it a lot of different ways. Samuel Adams, Thomas Jefferson, free man will not be debarred the use of arms. And I think the main thing is that it's like, I think the media is getting just crazy and and they're basically interviewing everybody that has an opinion that thinks gun control is a good idea. And as far as I know, gun control has never worked anywhere, unless your goal is to enslave the people and then murder them. It doesn't work. And like they had one guy on one of the Fox Business channels saying that, well, he was in the military and he doesn't think people should have like a Cruiser 50 caliber, full auto 50 caliber Mod Deuce. And I was thinking, well, okay, if I believe in peace, love, and understanding, and if my only purpose is to go with a 50 caliber is to go out, take it out to the range, shoot a few rounds at some targets, and just impress the hell out of all the other guys at the range because they can't afford one, then what's wrong with that? I guess there's no way to legislate against the evil in men's hearts, but I don't know if we're at peak guns. Maybe if we've reached the high water mark and the tide of that particular kind of freedom just rolls back and they start banning stuff. And the stuff that people are banning in different states, I was watching, it's just getting crazy. I have a story about banning plastic straws. But I noticed that the Firearm Policy Coalition Center had they're pushing a bill for breaking up the Ninth Circuit and just taking some of the states out of it. And I think California and Hawaii would stay in it, unfortunately for me. But some of the states would be freed, and then they're going to try and create a new district called the 12th Circuit, and so there'd be a new set of judges who I guess wouldn't be Clinton and Obama appointees, and people might have a chance. But waiting for the court to do things and tell you what freedom is like watching paint dry, and they don't really like to hear Second Amendment cases, it appears. They haven't picked any up in quite some time, and they keep turning them down. So if they just don't want to step into that field of jurisprudence, that they don't want to rule that the Second Amendment actually is part of the Constitution and people have to follow it, then they just want the state governments don't have to follow it because nobody's twisting their arm. And as far as some deal that the NRA is working on by they're probably going to try and get through concealed carry reciprocity and give up bump stocks or something, but they're going to throw on all kinds of crap. If they have a bump stock bill, they're going to throw on anything that helps people shoot faster, and they're going to include magazines. They're going to try and ban everything. They're going to, they'll be like, okay, well, the bump stocks help increase the fire rate, but so do aftermarket triggers, whether they do or not, and so do 30-round magazines or greater. And I'm glad I already have a crap load of them, but I also have a crap load of plastic straws. But So I'm just going to show you how crazy this whole thing about banning things is. So I actually had a reason for drinking this particular beverage. Showed it to Squib earlier, but here's the camera. So yeah, these are going to be banned. The proposed law is if a waiter gives you in California a straw in your drink without you asking for it, it's $1,000 fine and 6 months in jail for giving you a straw, and that's just fucking ridiculous. So, I'm gonna screen share the where's it? Screen share button. All right. They have the same kind of law they're proposing in the state of Hawaii, where they're also ban crazy. And it'll be like a save. We got to save the sea life by banning straws, something like that. I kind of want to just run down the Ali'i Drive and toss straws in the air out of my car. So here's the whole thing that's funny about the Hawaii banning plastic straws based on research by 9-year-old. That's right. Basically, what this 9-year-old did, he's now 16, but when he was 9, he called up all the plastic straw manufacturers and guesstimated, based on his phone conversation with them, that Americans use 500 million straws every day. And he was 9-year-old. He kind of came up with that figure all on himself. And that figure has been quoted by everyone. 500 million straws a day. There is no research at all to support that, except this 9-year-old calling up a few straw manufacturers and asking them. But it's quoted as fact by CNN, The Washington Post, Reuters, People, Time, Al Jazeera, National Geographic, The Guardian, and they all saying that Americans use 500 million straws a day, whether they do or not, based on the research of this 9-year-old. Seattle Weekly, San Francisco Chronicle, the Los Angeles Times. Well, there's a big surprise. Savoir, probably mispronounced that. Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the Lonely Whale Foundation, the Plastic Pollution Coalition, the Sierra Club. So yeah, a 9-year-old. So here's the California one. California considers $1,000 fine for waiters offering unsolicited plastic straws. So here's the, there's some funny stuff in here, though. I mean, let's see. The Los Angeles Times has gotten behind the movement endorsing straws on request policies in an editorial that also warned that, and I quote, only in the Los Angeles Times would this appear, quote, repetitive sucking may cause or exacerbate wrinkles on the lips or around the mouth, unquote. It sounds like a problem one of my ex-girlfriends had, but it's like absolutely insane. Under Calderon's law, a waiter who serves a drink with an unrequested straw would face up to 6 months in jail and a fine of up to $1,000. Well, fortunately for myself, where's the button? I have all these fucking straws. So, you know, in your face with this straw ban bill, okay? Basically, you guys can suck my straws. And as far as them seizing guns, I mean, that's what it's all about. They're coming for your guns. I mean, and they're going to say it's just bump stock legislations. Don't worry about it. But it's not going to be just, they're going to try and throw everything in there. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to work an assault weapons ban into the bump stock ban. I mean, they're going to ban large cap magazines or regular magazines. I mean, basically, they're going to leave you like a 1-round magazine or something like that, if they don't try and make you turn in your guns entirely. Whether they succeeded or not is problematical. There is a midterm, and if the Republicans want people to bother to come out and vote for them, I mean, they can't just put up Hillary Clinton's picture. I mean, Nancy Pelosi is saying some really stupid things, but that's normal. The crumbs comments, people's tag. Basically, the Democrats are going to run on that money that the government gave you back. You really don't need it. It's just crumbs. And running against a tax cut is pretty hard to do, but they're going to probably do it. And oh yeah, what was that other thing she said about for border security that they have to like mow the grass or something? I mean, she must live on this estate where the only contact she's had with anyone from Mexico is when the gardeners mow her lawn, because that's actually what she said. We need to mow the grass on the border. There is no grass on the border. It's a flippin' desert. So are we at peak guns? I don't know. You can still get a lot of stuff if you want to jump through all the hoops. When I first bought my 45 in California many years ago, my 1911, I filled out the federal firearms form, and they just had come back in 48 hours. And that was it. I didn't have to go down to the police station. I didn't have to get thumbprinted. I didn't have to get a mugshot taken. Which is what they do in Hawaii. And when I remember showing up there, and I could buy, you didn't need ID to buy ammo, which you don't in Hawaii, but you do in California now. And I remember one time when they actually required ID, and I went to the shop that I bought the gun at, and the guy said, I asked for a box of 45s, and I think I just picked it up off of the shelf, and the guy asked for my ID, and I was like, what for? And then he started to get angry, and I questioned why. And I wasn't into Second Amendment activists. I was just like, didn't need it last time. What do I need to show ID now? And then he realized it was how stupid it was. And he's like, yeah, it's pretty dumb that I have to ask for ID to buy a box of ammo. Anyway, so I was interested in hearing everybody else's opinions out in the comments and what Squib thinks about it. Did want to share some of my preps that I got recently. Nothing major. Of course, if there's a nuclear radiation emergency, then this stuff will come in handy. Probably sell it for more than I paid for it. ThyroSafe protects your thyroid gland from radiation, potassium iodide. Pretty much for radiation emergencies only. So got a couple boxes of this, and keep one for myself. Sell off tablets for some ridiculous amount of money if there's ever an actual radiation emergency. Thyroid blocking in a radiation emergency only. 20 tablets, 5 milligrams. Oh yeah, when I was at Walmart, picked up some of this stuff. Duct tape. DUCK. Digital camo pattern. So it was pretty cheap at Walmart. I forget how much exactly, but I just walking by, saw it, threw one in the cart. So that's my preps for this last week. But as far as guns go, I pretty much have all the guns I need. If I buy anything else, I'll probably just not wanting to go through the hoops. In the state of Hawaii, you don't need to register loose black powder weapons. So I might get I know Squib was thinking about getting a black powder revolver, and so I've been looking at a lot of videos before all the gun channels get taken down, which is happening. I mean, the Second Amendment is under attack. The guns are under attack. The gun channels are under attack. So are we at peak guns? Probably. Probably we are. I hope freedom just increases, and I just don't think that the leadership will come from Washington for that. It's just the people will not submit to basically communist turn in your guns rules from Washington, D.C. I just don't think they will. I know I won't. I mean, if somebody passes an unconstitutional regulation or writes it in like the president said today he would do, or they pass an unconstitutional law, or they want to repeal the Second Amendment, I mean, we will not comply. We will not submit. We were born free, and we're just, we're not giving it up. We're passing it on to the next generation of people. Come on. And hopefully they'll realize how important it is. Because if you're not free, I mean, what have you got? Right? So, Squib, if you're actually out there and available and not still working.
Yeah, I've been here the whole time.
Okay. Well, I feel like my monologue is over for tonight. Hope it was entertaining.
Hey, I ranted at the end of the show last time, so who am I to talk? Well, let's see. Okay. Straw purchases are illegal already, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we need a rim shot sound effect.
They took that out. Google took that out. They did. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, they took out all that stuff. Well, you know why? Because Night Strike abused that. He was always playing with that feature, so they took it away from everybody. So you got one kid in the room that misbehaves, and all the kids get punished. No. Let's see here. I think you're going to need more straws than that, man. You might want to go to Costco. Or just keep going through the Taco Bell drive-thru and asking for straws. By the end of the day, you'll have a couple hundred.
I feel like I need to walk down the street and just give everyone a free straw.
They might think you're trying to collect donations or something. You might end up coming home with some money. Somebody puts a $10 bill in your hand and says "bless you" and just goes on with their straw. Let's see here. Other than the straw thing, I totally forgot what I was going to say. Oh, the peak guns? I don't think so. And this is why. I remember the assault weapons ban in the 90s. So I believe I was in Bosnia when it happened. So I would have been about 21. And the next year, I bought my first gun.
I can barely remember being 21. I think I bought my gun at 22 also. Was that your first gun that you bought? Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been 22, bought my first gun. It was an SKS. There were tons of them. I was at a gun show in North Carolina. There were tons of guns everywhere.
You have to come up with a better excuse for not buying a 1911 as your first gun, dude.
I guess I just didn't think about it. I mean, I have a 1911, but who doesn't? So that was right before I got out of the military. And when I came home to Michigan, I went right back to going to the same gun shows I used to go as a teenager when I couldn't buy the guns, but I bought all the accessories. So I was already planning on buying guns when I got older and started buying everything for them. So all I'd have to do is buy the firearm. And I wanted an AR-15 since I was a teenager. When nobody thought they were cool, I was into AR-15s. There was only like 3 companies making them at the time. And after the assault weapons ban happened, you would think all that stuff would have dried up. The air quotes, high capacity magazines, the semi-autos, that, the ARs, AKs, things like that. No, tons of them. Tons of them. There was a gun show every month. 1 week in a month, they do the gun show. There were tons of them there all the time. Whatever you wanted. And the prices weren't too bad. What ended up happening, though, was all the cosmetic changes they wanted them to make. So you had the pre-bans and the post-bans. And the pre-bans were gradually going up in price and drying up. And in availability. But the post bands were out there, and they were charging an arm and a leg for the post band, saying, "Oh, well, we had to retool to make this." Well, how did you have to retool? You just didn't put a flash hider on the end of it. So how does that cost more? But it did. I didn't like that very much. As far as the high cap magazines, they didn't go up in price, and you could buy those all the way. I was buying them into the early 2000s before it sunsetted. I never had a problem getting a 15-round mag for my Beretta or a 30-round mag for my AR. I didn't have an AK at the time, so I really wasn't paying too much attention to those. But the stuff was out there, not illegally, but because there were so many of them available, because these guns still weren't as popular. By the time the ban sunsetted, all of these air quotes assault weapons were popular. And people started jumping on board after it sunsetted and buying these things like crazy. Companies started springing up in the late 90s making these because they were making money hand over fist on all these post-ban things. These things became so popular, more and more companies started making these ARs and AKs. Nowadays, it's pretty commonplace to see them everywhere, and they're fairly affordable right now. We've seen the prices go up and down every time that there's a threat of a gun ban. Your $400 AR suddenly becomes $1,200. I've seen it happen at least 3 times in 20 years. But during that assault weapons ban, everything was plentiful, I think, only because the guns weren't that popular. If it happened again today, maybe they would dry up because they're so popular. But I'm still not ready to say we're at peak guns.
New Throne Clay says Squib always wanted an AR-15 because of the thumb safety. All right, so let's see. Survivalist Shaman, that's a friend of mine from the UK. Kane 22, I think he's from Hawaii. Ohio 45 ACP is out there. It won't be, Ohio 45 ACP says it won't be a ban, it will be a luxury or safety tax to make ammo more overly expensive. Well, they'll tax anything.
I think if they try to ban anything or they do actually pass some sort of law, all they're going to do is make these firearms more popular. Whether the law sunsets or not, or gets repealed or gets changed or whatever, all they do every time they ban something or threaten to ban something is they make the guns that they want the people. They don't want the people to have these guns, but all they end up doing is making the guns more popular. And they're so stupid they don't realize it.
I know. It's like Obama was the best gun salesman on the planet. He sold more guns than anybody. And I hate to tell you, but every time they talk about banning crypto, it's the same thing. It goes nuts when they.
Hey, Patrick.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, life is good. I'm using my straw to drink a Jack and Coke here. I could get a rubber band and like rubber band like 4 straws together, and then it'd be like a high capacity straw.
Patrick, you better add straws to your preps.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. Well, they're going to ban koozies for your beer, you know, I guess, in the future, maybe also.
You got tax stamp for that?
No, not yet. Shh, on the down low. You know, you got to, haven't paid him yet.
All right, man. Well, welcome to the Lock and Load show. And see, all kinds of people out there. Mike Helton, Survival and Prepping is out there. And all the usual suspects, I guess.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, Patrick, since you're on, so what handguard are you trying to get?
Oh, it's a handguard that's made by Gun Tech USA out of Arizona. It's actually, I found a really good price on it. It's only 15-incher. It's octagonal, just a 5-sided, you know, handguard. Sucker's 8 ounces, and I was like, holy cow, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And I've spent too much money doing other things, and just waiting to just get a few more paychecks in, and then I'll order it. I took one off of one of my other rifles that temporarily to use, and then I'll strip it all back down and then paint it, and it'll be pretty much done.
How are you gonna paint it? What pattern?
I was thinking tiger stripes.
That's what I got on my Tavor.
And I don't know what color I was going to do yet. I was
There you
either
go. There's
flat dark earth, OD green, or I don't know. I've never seen one in gray. So
here's my Tavor with tiger stripes, but my green laser target designator, but
Not so close to the camera.
yeah, I know.
Well,
I got mine now.
Back up a little.
why? Too close for comfort?
No, I can barely see it.
All right.
Better. Thank you.
Let me get a flashlight on it. I actually have a flashlight. There we go.
Much better.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, how long did it take to do that?
Man, I did this so long ago. Well, you do one color at a time, and then you let it dry. So I think 1 day for each color. I think the hard part was just cutting out all the little tiger stripe painter, like basically all these stripes are basically painter's tape that you put on. I mean, obviously the black was the original color, and then you do one color, then you put on some tiger stripes, do another color, put on some more tiger stripes, do another color, and then you're done. And you put on some Masioka patches, camo patches, with the basically the whole idea is I want to be able to disappear into the jungle with it. Although it's more of a urban fighting weapon, but being that this is Hawaii and we have jungle here, I think invisibility is a pretty cool capability.
Well, yeah, but because it's so short, though, it's good for getting through brush.
Yeah. I've got a Savvy Sniper sling for it. You asked about it last time and what kind of sling I had. So I never did a video about the sling, but there's Savvy Sniper videos out there you can look at.
Yeah, if you do the video, they might take your channel down.
Well, they already demonetized me, so I'm putting like all the Procter and Gamble products in the video description, and I like type Procter and Gamble like 10 times. So because Procter and Gamble is their Google's biggest advertising account. So
we're not going to see a video of you eating a Tide Pod.
Well, I just want to mess up. I'm messing with their bots, basically. Their bots search for Procter and Gamble's videos. I mean, that's because that's their biggest client. So this is really going to mess with their bots. And of course, the bigger channels did it. So yeah, basically Tide, Bounty, Charmin, Swifter, all the Crest toothpaste, all Procter and Gamble stuff. They can look at my Tavor. So and it just messes up with Google's bots, and so hopefully this whole show will be advertiser unfriendly. Since I'm demonetized anyway, I could give a shit. They want to take my channel down. I mean, you can host the lock and load shows, and I know you can't because you're at work all the time, but maybe somebody else will on gun channels, or it'll just be another show. But
there's a channel called Lifestyles of the Locked and Loaded.
Well,
I think you ought to sue. You ought to sue them.
I'm not a litigious son of a bitch, man. I'm just going to pretend that I'm free. Okay, I'm going to live my life like I'm free, and if they want to take down the channel, they can take down the channel. It's. But in the meantime, I'm going to fuck with their bots, and I hope everybody else does. If you have a big channel, just type Procter and Gamble 10 times in your video description, or type Tide 100 times. And
it seems like everybody on gun channels is going nuts releasing videos. I mean, more so than normal lately.
Well, I haven't released any videos. I just do my Monday stream, and I did one extra stream about the whole thing with the. I'm basically made a fuck Google video, so that was but it was with a PH, because P and G is Procter and Gamble. So I'm basically going with the P and G theme to mess up mess with Google's advertising bots, and because that's how they gain revenue. And so if all of a sudden all of Procter and Gamble's ads are like playing on or just if anybody searches Procter and Gamble, they get like a Gun Channels video or something. That's what you want, because that'll just mess up with their revenue stream. You know, the whole idea is they demonetize us, we demonetize them. And yeah, you can boycott their stuff. I mean, I'm not going to buy Tide laundry detergent. I'll go to Costco and get the Kirkland whatever, and hopefully it's not made by Procter and Gamble anyway. And I'm sure I could find something other than Charmin for to wipe my ass with. And Bounty paper towels. What's that?
Angel Soft.
Angel Soft, yeah, anything other than Procter and Gamble, basically. So
I'm just kidding. I don't know who makes them.
But so yeah, Tiger Stripes is fun. Basically, how I did my Tiger Stripes was basically the gun was black. I cut out a bunch of Tiger Stripes on painter's tape and just stuck them on here, and then I sprayed I think the light color first. And then I put on a bunch more Tiger Stripes, and cutting them out with an X-Acto on a piece of cardboard from a big painter's tape roll. That's like the long, slow part. Then you just put on more Tiger Stripes, and then you paint over that. And so what you got left, you've got the black Tiger Stripes because you put them on before you started, and then you have the light Tiger Stripes, and then after you put more Tiger Stripes on, then you have green Tiger Stripes, and then you put on your final layer of Tiger Stripes and paint it with the dark, you do brown, green, light green, and it came out nice. But there's all kinds of ways to paint a rifle. You could use any kind of disruptive pattern technology. The whole idea is I want to be able to jump into the jungle, and with my Tiger Stripe BD is be invisible, and I think it pretty much accomplishes that. When I'm wearing Tiger Stripes, you can't even tell that I'm holding a gun because it just blends into the Tiger Stripes. And if I'm standing in the jungle, you won't even see me. So,
well, I think isn't that what the guys in Vietnam, with the special forces that had the Tiger Stripe uniforms, that was like the best camo, is what I've read. But when you get sweat in it and everything else, it eventually turned it white. Is what I read. And then it was like, hey, we can see
you put on a new pair, I guess. Well, I didn't have that problem because I don't live in the jungle and I'm not going on lurk patrols.
I think back then it was just their material they were using, and then like, hey, they found a new material and it doesn't do that no more.
Well, yeah, I think things have, like Vladimir Putin said, the Stone Age didn't end because they ran out of stones. So new technologies come along and things improve. Hey
guys, I apologize for my voice being the way it is.
What's wrong with your voice?
Oh, sinus crud, just happening around here, allergies and crap. So
sorry to hear that, man. Is it the flu that's getting around to everybody? Flu bug?
No, we already had that at the house this year. So, but my son had it, and my wife and we all missed it. Thank God. So that was a good thing.
So Squib, you said you were thinking about getting a black powder revolver in one of your texts. Are you still are you saving you're going to buy silver instead, or?
No, you mean another black powder revolver?
Yeah, I know you've got. Did you ever do that chronometer test or something?
No, I still need to get down to Dusty's. I was going to help him work on his tractor. Only thing is, with me working second shift, I'm only home on the weekends, and that's the only time I see my family. So now I can't go out and hang out with my friends on weekends. Maybe I better get back on first shift. Yeah, I'd like to chronograph black powder revolvers, different calibers and different barrel lengths with different powder charges and different types of powder, and see how it turns out. I'll do it eventually, but Yeah, another black powder revolver would be nice, and there's a couple other guns that I'd really like to get that are the guns that they'll never ban are the ones I want to get. So maybe I
that's the
need to be
thing about
practical. Maybe I need to be practical and buy something that they're going to ban instead for my
I don't
next
know.
purchase.
I think you ought to get what you really want.
Well, the thing is, the stuff I really want will probably always be there, but the stuff that ends up on these stupid ass bans. See, this is what I mean about if they ban it or they threaten to ban it, they suddenly make it popular. It's suddenly in demand. If they just leave it alone, nobody'd buy it. The reason these kids, or not really these kids, but all these idiots are using AR-15s, AKs, and SKS rifles for these high-profile murders is because the last guy used it, and it gets attention. If they didn't make a big deal over it, nobody would be interested in it. Some kid shot up a school in Kentucky with a pair of Glocks, and it didn't hardly even make the news because Glocks aren't sexy. Which is true.
Bullshit.
They are ugly as sin.
Bullshit.
Whatever.
Bullshit.
Yeah, they're butt dog ugly.
It's
no, because they're not the evil black rifles.
It's hip to be square. I mean, I don't know.
So all I'm saying is my decision on whatever I get next might be influenced by this crap, and it's I really don't want to do that. I'd rather get something that I really want as opposed to something maybe I'll want down the road. You know, I mean, I'm not saying I've got enough semi-autos, but right now nothing really piques my interest. So whatever.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, I'm really happy with my Glock. I mean, it's like, survival Charmin. It's like, it's green. It's got a green.
It's ugly.
Grip. It's beautiful, man. You fire it goes bang every fucking time. You can rely on it. I mean, that's the thing about that's the one drawback about living in Hawaii is some bad gun laws, but the worst one is that it's short-barreled rifles. I can't get a Roni for this thing.
They probably won't ban the Glocks. What they'll do is they'll do like the AWB and say you have to get 10-round mags for it, and then you'll pay more for the 10-rounder than you will for the stock one.
Yeah, I know. You do.
14, 15. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the local gun shop charges way too much for 10-round mags. So somebody wants to start sending me like parts for regular capacity ones, that'd be okay. But it's like I don't think anybody's ever been charged with constructive possession of a 15-round mag. But if I had a Roni, then that would be constructive possession of a short-barreled rifle, whether I put the Glock in it or not. But having a Glock like short-barreled rifle, you could always rely on it and to go bang every time, which is important if you actually need a short-barreled rifle. But I mean, a Glock is a beautiful weapon. It's always going to go bang, and I mean,
yeah, but it won't make the news.
Well, I mean, yeah, it would make the news if somebody used a bolt-action rifle in a school shooting. Because I mean. The way I think,
it wouldn't make the news.
The way I think about it,
full auto Glock.
A full auto Glock. Well, here's the whole thing: is that the whole spray and pray thing with the bump stocks. I mean, it's just I don't know how you guys feel about it, but personally, I think that a deliberate shooter with a bolt action is a hell of a lot more dangerous than a kid with a bump stock. I mean,
it depends on the target. If you're trying to go for individual targets, yes, that bolt action is going to be more accurate and more deadly. If you're just going into a crowd or you're shooting at a large, like a vehicle or a building, then that bump stock might work out better. But the thing is, the bump stock it's a gimmick. It's a piece of crap gimmick.
Yeah.
That allows you to do. It's not that it does the work for you. It makes it easier for you to do something that you don't need a bump stock to do. The thing is, bump firing is for all those wannabes who've never shot full auto.
Well, I suppose it could be fun for 5 minutes, but I wouldn't.
Well, that's about it
in an actual situation.
I mean, I'm not saying they should be banned. I mean, I don't care about them. I went and did the petition thing and all the other stuff.
Me too.
Because I'm supportive of other people in the community. I don't believe they're going to go after all these other things that they say they're going to go after. But if they do, then fine, they do. I mean, I guess we'll sign more petitions and do more marches and everything else. But the whole thing is, I think the NRA said, let's look at them as if we jump out there and we vilify this thing that nobody gives a crap about except Night Strike, then maybe they'll just take it and leave us alone. And then I think LaPierre was on the phone with Trump and goes, look, just
he doesn't want to lose.
Give them the damn bump stocks and they'll just leave us alone.
They want to keep the president on their side, and the president wants wants to throw the dog a bone, basically.
Right. I'm not saying we should do it. I'm just saying I think that's what happened twice, is they said, let's get rid of this thing, because how many members are we going to lose over bump stocks? Like 5. Because most of the NRA members are FUDs, right? These kids that are into all these tactical guns, I'm not saying, people that are in their 40s aren't, but it's a lot of kids. They don't know what the NRA is. They're not about to pay for membership. They can't afford $25 for a tank of gas. You think they're gonna get a membership in it? No, they don't care. So if there were 10 million 20-year-olds with nothing but tactical guns and no FUD guns in the NRA bitching and saying, I'm going to burn my card on YouTube, they wouldn't be going, maybe we should get rid of these bump stocks. They'd be going, no, keep the bump stocks. But they probably figure, since their constituents are mostly FUDs, they can throw that one in the fire and go, well, see, and that's my theory. I don't know. I don't have a hotline to Virginia to find out, but that's what I'm thinking. So I don't think it'll work. I don't think it'll work. It could open the door for more problems, and it doesn't really solve the problem of violence. You're going to have violence. We all know that violence is going to happen with anything. It
doesn't make anyone in a school safer. But I was just trying to say, though, that if there was a shooter at a school with a bolt-action rifle, I would think that would be really scary, because I would be afraid that he actually knew what the fuck he was doing.
They already did this once, and I'm surprised nobody's done a repeat, but it's probably because the people that are shooting up these schools, I don't think they know that the people that have done it before have used these tactical weapons or the weapons that always get threatened to be banned, the evil black rifles, and they know that they get lots of fame. But I don't think they've actually looked at it. There was one school shooting that I know of for sure where there were 2 kids involved. One was outside waiting in the bushes, and the other one was inside, and he pulled the fire alarm. And when the kids went out in the schoolyard, where they always assemble every time there's a fire drill, the kid in the bushes opened up on him.
So in Hawaii, somebody called in a gun threat, and all the police showed up at one school, and nothing happened, basically.
If you put all the kids out in the open in the schoolyard because of a fire alarm, or because they're trying to get all the kids out because of a bomb threat, or whatever it is, and somebody had a place where they could hide and shoot at them, then if they're massed together, then using something like a bump stock would work just like it did in Las Vegas. But overall, though, that bolt-action rifle would probably be a lot more devastating in general.
It'd be more devastating if the police showed up and all they've got is a handgun, and if they go in their car, maybe they have a shotgun, or even if they have an AR, somebody with a bolt-action and a scope who knows what they're doing is a very dangerous person.
Yeah, would be able to shoot through the car at the cop while he's trying to retrieve his AR-15. And you know what? It makes me a little bit queasy to even think about this stuff, or to try to put my mind inside the head of one of these sickos, because this is something I would never do.
Me neither.
This is something I would never. The people that are close to me, my family, my friends, nobody has ever given me any indication that they would even consider doing something like this. You only have to think like this when you're trying to figure out what can you do to prevent this, or what would you do in the event. You have to start thinking like your enemy, unfortunately, and it'll mess with your head. But yeah, I think they use these weapons because these are the weapons that the previous idiot used. These are the weapons that constantly get banned, or they're in the news, or they've got this. I mean, I think most of the guys that do this, whether they're adults or they're children, most of them don't even know how to use a firearm. I think only few of them really even know how to use one.
Yeah, I think another reason these weapons get used is because, one, they're the most popular rifle in America, and there's a lot of them, and a lot of times they use somebody else's rifle. So they're just going to pick the most. It's going to be the easiest rifle for them to get if they can get into somebody else's firearm collection somehow, if it's not in a gun safe and locked.
Yeah, because sometimes the firearms are stolen. Sometimes they're purchased ahead of time. I mean, some of these are adults who already own these guns, have owned them for a while in some cases, or owned them for a matter of weeks or months.
Yeah, but I think the important thing is that they always want to take the guns away from the people that didn't do it. And if you have a bunch of nonviolent, peaceful people, they're not your problem. So why are you messing with them?
Because it makes them feel good. It doesn't matter if the problem gets resolved. It's all about feeling good, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I think they honestly just want to control people and can't control them.
Yeah, politicians like unarmed subjects, and with the banking system just teetering on the edge of collapse. I mean, I think I mentioned in the pre-chat a bank in Latvia, the third largest bank there, they had a bank run and they stopped the bank holiday on Monday because depositors can't get their money out.
Do you guys ever think if they did take away firearms and we all gave them all up in this country, do you think we would ever be invaded again?
I don't think people will give up their firearms no matter what law I was saying at the beginning of the show, it's the leadership for freedom doesn't come from Washington. It comes from the heartland of America. People just aren't going to give up their firearms.
Right, but let's say it's like in Star Trek's Gene Roddenberry's Utopia, hey, nobody's got all this stuff. We're all peaceful. We got a replicator in every house, food and all that.
Well, if we had replicators, that would solve a lot of the economic problems on the planet, but we don't have replicators, we don't have transporters, and more importantly, we don't have hand phasers. I want a hand phaser. That would be so cool, man.
Like I was telling a kid today that I work with, he's 18, and I said, hey, would you be okay if I said, hey, would you be okay if I told you you couldn't drive your car or you couldn't vote? He goes, well, I don't care about voting. I don't do that anyways. That's bullshit. And I go, well, okay. But no, I'd be real mad if you took away my driver's license. I said, well, that's what they're thinking about doing. I was like, dude, you guys don't understand. They're trying to take away your all's rights, and not just yours, but a whole bunch of votes. And I said, you don't ever want that to happen because you're probably not going to get them back unless real bad stuff happens that we don't want. And he was, oh, I don't care. I'm like,
well, you can't expect, kids are kids. I mean, yeah, a fast car is a thing.
Oh yeah, I like fast cars, but I also like my freedoms and my rights a little bit more.
Yeah,
I guess that does come with age. It's like, hey,
the kids today are different than when we were kids. They don't value the things we value. They don't value their independence. They're not interested in fast cars. They love fast cars and video games. And if you gave them a Ferrari, sure, they'd love it. But work for it? Oh, hell no. You mean I got to do something to get something in life? They don't like that. Whereas we were the kind of kids that would work for
You're
stuff.
working for the clampdown. We get it. Okay, you need to listen to the Clash, dude.
He is trying to make a 4-cylinder Honda Accord 2-door beat a V8, and I'm like, dude, no way. Like, you take the same amount of cash and stick that into a V8 car and spank your ass with it.
Well, that's why these kids today don't care about the Second Amendment. They don't care about their freedoms. They don't care about a lot of things. You take away their phones and their Twitter or their Snapchat and their video games and stuff like that, then they'll care. You kick them out on the street and don't give them a place to live because they want to be deadbeats and they don't want to do what they should be doing as young adults, not children, young adults.
Were you like this when you were a child?
Caring.
Were you like this when you were a kid, teenager? I mean,
when I was a teenager, I wanted to get out of my parents' house as soon as I could. I wanted my own place. I wanted to call my own shots, make my own rules, and pay my own bills, and I did as quick as I could. And I think that somewhere along the lines, that stuff went away. And I think that's why these kids don't care if they have a Second Amendment waiting for them one day when they wake up and go, oh, crap.
Well, most of them still live with their mom and dad till they're 34 anyways.
Well, the economy isn't what it used to be, in spite of rumors that everything is going along great.
Yeah, but that means that don't pick a career in,
Basket weaving.
I don't know, basket weaving, or hey, I want to be a writer. Well, okay, that's great and all, but how many writers are successful and get a paycheck every month? Not that many.
Very few. It's not an easy gig, and it doesn't matter how good you are. There's somebody else ahead of you in line.
Right. The old saying was, "Oh, you're a writer." Oh, you mean you're?
Well, I write stuff. I write stuff, but
I'm not saying you, but I mean, there's.
Well, that's okay.
Like,
look, I used to be, before I was a writer, I was a guitar player. Before I was into guns, I was into guitars, so it's just a different.
I know a player that used to play with Neil McCoy, and he does very well, and he's not playing with him anymore, and he does he makes a very good living. So musicians can make money.
Oh yeah, and that's definitely, if you play in gigs, and then you can make serious money, but it's work.
Oh yeah.
And just like anything else, and all right. So, what about you, Patrick? Do you think we're at peak guns? Is it? Squib, what was your answer first? That it was like we are at peak guns, we're at peak guns, or what? If he's still there.
Yeah, my lunch break at work's over, so I got to do more listening than talking. I don't think it's over, but depending on how another ban goes, it'll either increase the demand and get more people into it, or I suppose it could have the opposite effect. But I don't think we're there yet.
You don't think we're peak guns? You think they're going to be more available than they are now?
Okay, so it's like this. Trump gets elected, and people aren't afraid that they're going to ban guns anymore, so gun sales slump. And then everybody's talking at SHOT Show about all these innovative new guns that they're coming out, and some of them are guns that nobody even wants. I mean, just coming up with silly shit just to get people interested, because nobody wants to buy the same old that they were buying when Obama was in office.
Yeah, there was a hilarious video I watched today about the Glock 43, which basically somebody had some movie about Hitler, and Hitler was going on some rant, the actor playing Hitler, and they had subtitles about him instead of what he was actually saying in German, he was actually complaining about the Glock 43. And
yeah, it's a pretty funny video. But I think what'll happen is, if there's a ban, you might have all the really cool tactical black guns taken away, or the air quotes high capacity, which are normal capacity magazines, taken away, or whatever the hell it is. These gun companies will innovate something, and either people will flock to go buy it because it's the newest, latest, greatest thing out there, even if it's junk, or they'll get it because it somehow or another fits within a law, or it's something nobody ever thought of, or whatever. So I'm just like not ready to say we're at peak guns yet, just because we've seen all this crappy innovation. I think they got tons of crappy innovation out there.
Right.
That's what Marco Rubio said in that town hall meeting on CNN. He says, "Look, if we ban stuff, they said within a couple of days they had a design and new features that were completely within the law, and it does the same damn thing." I mean, I hope we're not.
It's like that's the whole thing about bump stocks is that it actually complies with the law. It's not a machine gun, and they can say it's a machine gun. It's not a machine gun, and so when people comply with the law, and the written word, all the gun manufacturers do is stick to the written word of the law. and people still want to ban stuff, and they're mad at the evil gun manufacturers. It's like, oh, they complied with the exact letter of the law to the every crossed T and dotted I was complied with, and then people get mad because that's what they did, and it's like, so they keep wanting to move the goalposts. It's like Lucy with the football, that Charlie Brown wants to take or Linus or whoever it was wants to kick a field goal or kick the ball, and she always pulls the ball away at the last moment. And
anything they do like that, at the end of the day, the consumer's one that's going to pay, because what they'll do is they'll innovate, they'll redesign, they'll find a way to work within the law, not around it, within it, and they'll jack up the prices. And demand will be up, supply will be down, and people will pay. It's happened before, it'll happen again. So all it does is it makes a lot of people money. So you got to wonder, I'm not into conspiracy theories, but you got to wonder who's making money off this.
Well, making money is the way America is supposed to work. But
I understand that. I'm not one of these people that believes that the government put actors in the school and had people volunteer to die so that we could come up with these laws, and then the companies could sell more guns, and the NRA could sell more memberships, and then they'd grease the pockets of these politicians, and the whole thing was set up by the government. Okay, that's just crazy.
Speaking of greasing politicians,
after one of these things happens, guess what happens? The NRA goes, now's more important than ever, and a bunch of people run out and buy memberships. And all these gun companies go, okay, fine, you want to change the law? Fine, we'll just redesign. And once again, they'll take features off, and then they'll say somehow or another it costs more to make the gun, and they'll raise their prices. And everybody will run out and panic buy, and the gun stores will make tons of money, and the stuff will be hard to get, and as soon as it's available, it'll go out of stock, and
I don't think gun stores make lots of money. There's not. I mean, retail margin isn't that great.
Everybody who says that, I think they have a store near them that has a shitty business model. Because the gun stores up here are swimming in money. I'm just saying the stores in my area are swimming in money. They're swimming in money.
Brick and mortar stores.
Bass Pro Shop behind the gun counter selling guns, and he saw how much money they were making off of guns, of a gun sale, and at times it was maybe $10 to $15 for the firearm that they were making.
It's not worth it financially to run a gun shop. The guy in Kona, the guy brick and mortar is like in big trouble in this country, but the guy in Kona,
that's why the brick and mortars in my area keep branching out and opening up more stores and opening up ranges and remodeling and moving to bigger locations.
Ranges is one thing. There's just not a lot of margins in a retail business. Here in Kona, the guy I hear that runs the only gun shop in Kona is he's getting into excavation because of the state law that requires new homes to have upgrade their cesspools to septic systems, and every home in Hawaii pretty much doesn't have a septic; it has a cesspool. So I guess there's more money in shit than there is in guns. Truly.
Well, yeah. I mean, what my father-in-law would tell me, he goes, I mean, it's crazy. They hardly make anything, and we have another store down the road who sells that same gun that Bass Pro was selling, literally for $200 or $300 less. And I'm going.
So they lose money on every gun, but they're making it up in volume, right?
Volume and accessories. I mean, even the gun shop where I buy guns from, just grab a gun. Yankee Marshall's favorite gun shop that he loves to hate. Most of their orders, or how you get a gun from them, is you'll buy it on the website and they'll order it from the distributor. So they don't have a whole lot of stuff in the store at all, ever. And that's how they save the money. And that's how they have the low price. But they beat everybody, every stinking person. And it's because it's all online. And Bass Pro, $200 more, $150 more, $400 more. I was like, good God, I don't know how people go there.
Well, Give Me Convenience. The Dead Kennedys did an album called "Give Me Convenience" or "Give Me Death," but I just wanted to say, with regard to greasing politicians, there's the Supreme Court heard a case. The Supreme Court of the United States heard a case about the whole thing with the people who aren't in unions being forced to pay union dues, like and it's automatically deducted from their paychecks whether they want to be in the union or want anything from the union or not. I think they call them free rider fees or something like that. So basically, the people that are forced to pay automatically from their paychecks. So basically, so that the unions can have money to grease the politicians. That's what it's for. So, and it's just the government. I mean, it's in America, it's better than in the other countries. But the bottom line is, any government is a bureaucracy, and over time, it's corrupt, it's bloated, and it's just by the nature of a government being a government, they want to raise taxes, and they don't provide more services for it. They just it just becomes more and more corrupt and bloated over time.
But why is the question I always have and ask myself and try to figure out is, why is it that people want to change this country from freedom to socialism, just like over in Europe and Russia and China and all that? I mean, they're so hell bent on this, and I mean, other than the fact of control, that they want to control people, I don't understand it.
Well, I think it's a media narrative that's pushed by corporations and journalists who think that it actually works. So hey everybody out there in External, I want to just say hi to Biddy Boo, Rigo, and Jesse James 38 just made it in the chat. Jesse James, I thought you had a 45. Now you're Jesse James 38. Oh wait, that's Ohio 45. Jesse James 38, right? Okay. Got to keep my gun channels people straight. I'm all jumbled up. Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Oh no, I just don't get it, and I mean why they want to turn it into that society, which we know, and you can prove it by looking at these places that it doesn't even work. I mean, even for 200 years, what is it? How old are we? 250, 248. I mean, it's worked, and I know we're just a speck of time in the history of the world, But I mean, I don't understand it. I can't see how they want to change being free. Hey, let's be under somebody's boot all the time.
Well, you can see how well it worked in Venezuela. All the apparently they're having a problem. That they did just try to go solve all their problems by going to a new cryptocurrency called the Petro, but the problem that they're having is supposed to be based on oil and gold, this cryptocurrency, but I mean, the government is corrupt and they can't provide anything for their people. And now the latest news out of Venezuela is they can't give all the oil workers. They're all on strike. I mean, they literally can't work because of hunger. They're just too weak to do anything. There's no food. They can't get them food. All the oil workers, I mean, basically all the oil companies pulled out of there. I mean, Venezuela nationalized everything. So nobody that actually knows how to run an oil company is left. And all the workers, they don't have food. So naturally, they can't work. So, and Jesse James, you say, yeah, how can you pick 38 for Jesse James 38 when you have to say you have a 45, a 10 millimeter, a 9, a 7.62 by 25, 357, 44, and a 40 caliber, I guess, handguns, but you pick Jesse James 38, so you have a 38 special, right? I mean, whatever. Maybe you can type out the explanation there in the External YouTube. Socialism.
I thought he was Jesse James 10 millimeter before. No.
I don't know. I'm looking at what it says in the text chat. It says Jesse James 38. Yeah, I thought he used to be Jesse James 10 millimeter, but maybe that was on gun channels and not on YouTube. I don't know. It's an old name back before I was a gun toter. Right. Well, 38 specials work. I mean, 357 works better, but yeah, he says Jesse James 10 millimeter from gun channels. So he says it was an old name back before he was a gun-toting person. Well, I assume that. Well, what was that joke about that video about with the Glocks and Hitler? It was funny as shit. He was saying about a 10mm Glocks that people can use that who want to have a gunfight with elephants. And it was just off the rails, the captioning on that thing. But anyway, see if anybody is on Gun Channel side. Just I think Ellis Hatfield is asleep or something. He's been AFK the whole time over there. I came on at 5 hours before the show when he was there.
I think he's doing a show at 11 Eastern after Matt's show goes off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of shows on Gun Channels lately. Edge missed his shows for the last couple of weeks. I don't know what's up with him, but I used to like to go on his shows on Fridays. But I guess people have lives and stuff happens. So there's plenty of shows on Gun Channels. If you're interested, gunchannels.com. My text is gunchannels.com/HBS, but there's lots of different shows on Gun Channels. You can check that out. So, Patrick, peak guns, yes or no? Are we at peak guns now or what?
I don't think. Excuse me. I hope we're not, because there's plenty more I want to buy, and I want to get some for my kid, and hopefully my wife one day. And but I don't think we are, because
you may have to marry a girl that already has a lot of guns.
Well, her dad does. Her dad's got tons. But
next best thing.
I don't think we are. I think we're going to get through this, and I think that the people of this country are going to wake up and go, "No, this is bull crap." But I'm still worried, because there's 25 years of snowflakes, out there, and that's a lot. And it's a lot of them. So I don't think we're there yet, but we're closer than we ever have been before. I'll say that.
We're definitely at peak straws, though.
Oh yeah, the $6,000 fine, or what do you say, $10,000 fine and 10 years in jail or something like that.
6 months in jail and $1,000 fine for giving someone a straw.
That's total freaking lunacy. Jesus.
Yeah.
For a freaking straw. God. Wow.
Yeah, I think I need to make a video going up to people, giving them a straw. They'll think of it, just to make them think about it,
I mean, what? I mean, would they? Is it just waiters, or does it apply to anybody?
Let me do the screen share again. Let me see if I could find the page again. I think it's just waiters. Yeah. Here's the screen. Where's the screen share button? Here you go, screen share. Ian Calderon wants restaurateurs to think long and hard before giving you a straw. Calderon, the Democratic majority leader in the California lower house, introduced a bill to stop sit-down restaurants from offering customers straws with their beverages unless they specifically request one. Under Calderon's law, a waiter who serves a drink with an unrequested straw in it would face up to 6 months in jail and a fine of up to $1,000.
Yeah. Just because Flipper may not live.
I don't see how it automatically gets floating in the ocean. I mean, there's already so much crap plastic floating in the ocean in the North Pacific garbage patch. I mean, and how come he thinks these straws will automatically wind up floating in the ocean?
Okay, well, first off, Patrick, dolphins are assholes. And then secondly, instead of bringing back the chain gang and having prisoners clean up the sides of roads and maybe beaches, in your case, Hawaii, we're gonna go ahead and propose a law to fine people for something that's everyday use. I mean, I'd say Bring back the chain gang. Oh, that's barbaric. I don't care. Whatever.
Now they have community service troops of people in orange jumpsuits.
Well, then apparently they're not picking up enough trash.
No, they don't. They don't pick up trash on the side of the highway no more. But Louisiana, I know Louisiana still has the work farms that you go to in prison. I saw that on the lockup or something. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, but they still use the work farms.
Let's see. The Los Angeles Times has gotten behind the movement endorsing straws on request policies. I already read you the article about repetitive sucking. Celebrity astronomer Neil deGrasse Tyson and Entourage star Adrian Grenier have appeared in videos where an octopus slaps them in the face for using a plastic straw.
Slap in the face because he's the one that got Pluto changed from a planet to a dwarf planet.
All right, so Pluto is no longer a planet. Okay.
Yeah, seriously. No, a whole bunch of stupid scientists voted on it like years ago, and Pluto is no longer a planet. Well, we can kiss my butt, planet.
Well, that'll be bad news to that dog that Disney.
I will second that, Patrick. They can kiss mine too.
Calderon, along with news outlets writing about this issue from CNN to the San Francisco Chronicle, unfailingly state that Americans use 500 million plastic straws a day, many of them ending up in waterways and oceans. The 5 million figure is often attributed to the National Park Service. In turn, it got it from the recycling company EcoCycle. EcoCycle was unable to provide any data to back up this number, telling Reason that it was relying on the research of one Milo Crest, whose Be Straw Free campaign is hosted on the EcoCycle's website, tells Reason that he arrived at the 500 million straws a day figure from phone surveys he conducted of straw manufacturers in 2011 when he was just 9 years old.
Well, let's go to this little kid's house. Take away everything that's in there that's made of plastic, and everything in there.
Well, he's 16 now. He's 16 now.
He better not drive a car. Just like if we raise the stinking age on these to buy a rifle, I don't want to see a single kid under 21 driving. I don't want them voting. You know, I mean, the nonsense BS has got to stop somewhere.
I'm muted. Do you see this here? This is plastic pellets. It's going to go in a chute, go in a hose, and go out onto the floor and go into an injection molding machine. I'm in plastics. Straws are made of plastics. We might not make straws here, but, I mean, really? You're not going to get my support on this.
Yeah, we need to change SHTF to the straw hits the fan.
But it'll last 1,000 years, Squib. It's going to hurt everybody. Do it for the children.
Oh, man. Yeah, it really is lunacy. Oh, man. So
we recycle plastic in Michigan, so I mean, I'm not saying every place has to get on board with that, but they have two different ways that they recycle plastic here, and it doesn't take care of all the trash, and it's not perfect, but it's something. So, and it doesn't hurt anybody. It makes money for people.
Oh yeah. I mean, we got to have the stuff.
Right. Well, we need to start making high capacity straws. We need to do.
Right. Well, I think what they got that at Quick Trip, you know, with that turbo chug drink they got, that big monster. It straws like a foot.
Any idea if Magpul uses recycled plastic?
I don't know. Did they just move to Texas?
They're heading to San Antonio or Austin, but they don't make it.
Yeah, what they did was Colorado passed a bunch of anti-gun laws, and Magpul said, screw you, we're out of here. They left a small office there, moved their operations to Texas, and HexMag bought their factory and all their tooling and stuff and started making magazines in Colorado. So now you can get plastic magazines from two companies instead of one.
Yeah, but they don't make any. I don't think Magpul makes any mags in Texas.
Are the X magazine mags any good?
Yeah, I've got some hex mags. They do just fine. I mean,
I thought you said hex. Okay.
hex,
All right.
HEX, hex mag. As far as I know, hex mag bought the Magpul operation in Colorado and started just making it with Magpul's tooling. So
Yeah, I think I have one or
Magpul
two.
makes their stuff in Texas now. That's right.
I think I have one or two hex mags. I haven't got around to using them. I was hoping that the last house I made an offer on, the deal might go through, and then I met somebody up there who has a place to go shooting, but the deal that I made didn't go through. As is clause, so good luck. I just trying to find a place and where I have to deal with the whole cesspool law, which is another thing. Up to if you buy a house, you have to upgrade the cesspool to a septic system, and it's a pain in the ass. I mean, basically, I'm dealing with shit regulations, and but they passed that law. The governor signed it a year or two ago, and so makes selling and buying and selling a house very problematical because most of the homes in Hawaii that aren't in a town with a sewage system are on a cesspool, not a septic.
Okay, Hawaii, how about this? And I know it's easier said than done, but just leave the island. Come to a free place. I mean, I don't know.
Well, you're dealing with, first of all, you're in a grand solar minimum. And as Squib can tell you, it's been getting cold up there. And it's getting cold everywhere on the mainland. And I like it in these warm southern, it's usually 80 degrees here every day.
We had 2 weeks only so far this year where the temperature we're in the 30s. Total of 2 weeks so far.
Right. Well, we're entering a grand solar minimum, so it's going to get worse. Okay. These are 400-year cycles of the sun. I mean, there's a solar minimum every 11 years, but a grand solar minimum is every 400 years. And you get increased volcanic activity. You get you get polar vortexes, and basically, I was saying at the beginning of the chat that the Ice Age Farmer on YouTube, if you're interested, you can check out his channel. He called peak food in his last video, basically because there's hailstorms in Saudi Arabia, just like I was watching the Weather Channel. I mean, massive hailstorms. Basically, what he's saying is that cold weather and are like destroying some crops, and he has like a wiki page of what the temperature is that will kill all the different crops, and listed by the temperatures of the weather and what weather will wipe out a crop. And there have been some large crops that have been wiped out recently. So he's calling that peak food. That right now food is least expensive. I mean, it's been going up, but it's less expensive and more available than it ever will be again. So he's saying peak food, which is what sparked my interest about guns. Is, are we at peak guns right now? I personally think we are, so we're still riding a very high and beautiful wave where you can get most any gun you want, if you want to jump through government regulation hoops which are unconstitutional, but they're going to make you jump through anyway. So I think the whole thing about I like Hawaii as far as just the land and the laws I don't like, but the politicians I don't like, but I don't live. I'm a person, and I kind of like to free my mind of the institutions that think they rule over me somehow, and somehow I'm their subject. But I can live my life without. What's that?
Oh no, I was gonna say that's what we do in Texas. We don't let anybody tell us what to do.
Right. Well, I do the same thing, it's like I was saying, I was thinking about buying a black powder revolver because the state of Hawaii you don't have to register or get involved with the police to buy a black powder revolver or anything that fires loose black powder, like a black powder rifle or anything like that. So I've got enough modern firearms that since I'm just collecting stuff for fun, a black powder revolver might be fun. So, anyway, I'm not in a panic buy an AR. I've got my Tavor for a 5.56 weapon, and it does what I need it to do. And I've got a bolt action with a scope for hunting or longer ranges, and I'm very happy with it.
If you ever carry that black powder revolver, you just got to do what Clint Eastwood did, was carry spare cylinders to throw in there for quick.
Yeah, we talked about that a few shows ago, and in the Pale Rider he did that. I was watching some. I still need to go watch some of. I hope before they take him down. I hope they don't. Iraq Veteran 888 had a bunch of black powder videos. Do you ever use Crisco for barrel for when you for what do they call it, barrel butter or whatever? You ever use Crisco, or do you stick with some like firearm thing that says firearms on it?
I don't have any black powder.
Right. I was asking Squib, but he's probably working and can't talk. So,
I've heard of people.
I haven't used Crisco yet, but it'll work just fine. I use boar butter, but Crisco would work just fine. So would lard.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's on my maybe list. I'd rather spend my money on a house right now, but it's trying to find the right one. It's becoming with where
Patrick, those cylinders, you can buy spare cylinders for your black powder revolvers. They run about $50-$60 a cylinder. You can even get a bench mounting tool that you can put them on and load them on a bench, as opposed to having to load them using the ramrod and all that on the revolver, and then take it apart and put another cylinder on and load that and take it apart. So it just depends on how much money you want to spend.
Yep. Back to that petty thing called money again.
Yeah, what money is going to be a whole nother thing if the banking system fails and the currency, if we have a currency crisis. But,
speaking of money, somebody wanted me to forward a request to you. They wanted you to come up with your own cryptocurrency. They wanted you to call it. They wanted you to call it Karambit coin.
Yeah, Karambit coin. Yeah, I remember that.
Whose idea was that?
I can't remember. I was in an after chat with somebody, and they said, "Hey, pass this one on to Hawaii. Tell him he needs to start up his own cryptocurrency and call it Karambit coin."
That was during the Caliber Corner chat. I think that was Travis or one of the.
Oh, was that during?
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard you.
I thought it was an after chat. Okay, yeah. Then it was Caliber Corner. Sorry. Thank you, Patrick.
Right. Well, basically, here's the thing on that. I was talking about this earlier. Here's Putin saying, Vladimir Putin says Russia needs blockchain, cannot be late into the race. And the part that's interesting says, here's the quote, which is, I guess, translated from Russian, quote, "We need blockchain technology. Stone Age has not ended due to lack of stones, but because new technologies appeared. Those late to this race will instantly, very fast, be under full dependence from leaders of these processes." So, yeah, the Stone Age has not ended due to lack of stones. There's still stones around. We're no longer in the Stone Age. So, there's Putin on that. He doesn't need a karambit. He has nukes. So, speaking of which, shit is starting to get real with North Korea.
Is it? I thought they quit doing stuff.
No, they made nice during the Olympics, I guess. But
is that over yet?
The Olympics, yeah, they had the closing ceremony, and I think the Russians won the gold medal in men's ice hockey. The U.S. won the women's ice hockey.
I saw that. We sucked this 4 years pretty bad.
Well, the women's hockey team, I watched that game. That was a pretty fun game to watch. I know most people aren't into women's hockey, but it's been a big thing between Canada and the U.S. So we got to whip Canada. And
they got us in skating, which I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, the Russian girl that won the gold medal in skating, she was beautiful, and she was stunningly beautiful, actually. But if you like super thin girls, I guess. But uh, they're very, when it comes to the Olympics, have you guys ever been to an Olympic competition and any event and seen those things?
No.
I went to the Olympic Stadium in Barcelona, but it was after the Olympics were held there. That's the closest I've come to that crap.
In Los Angeles, when the Olympics were in LA, I saw all we could get was tickets for was a weightlifting competition. And, that would sound kind of boring, right? But it wasn't. I mean, I think, they had the East Germans, well, that was still when there was the Cold War and the wall and everything. And the Romanians, it was like basically everybody was helping him lift. It was exciting. Everybody was behind him, trying to help him, psych him up for the lift. And it doesn't matter what country they were from. Like the Romanians came in and the East Europeans, and it was like the weightlifting was exhilarating. Basically, these these relatively short guys were just lifting incredibly huge amounts of weights, and it was fun.
Yeah, one day they'll bring it here to Dallas, because that's one thing that the city wants big time.
Olympics.
Oh God, yeah, they have been, just kissing the Olympic Committee's butt for the past 20 years. Look at this, we got all these facilities and roads. That's the one thing we've lacked is roads. They can't handle the traffic. They can't handle the traffic that's on them now. We got the plenty of facilities.
I remember in LA.
They'll throw out the NRA convention, but they'll welcome the Olympics.
No. Okay. Clarifying that guy, he is not the mayor. He is just a city councilman, and that was he was the only person to say that, because the NRA is throwing the city of Dallas a ton of money. I mean, bukus. The mayor is not even talking about that. That was City Councilman Dwayne Caraway, who does have.
So you're saying it's fake news?
No, that councilman said that, but the city is not going to throw away the NRA convention at all, because they're just getting too much cash.
Okay, well, you're there. You would know, and I'm glad you clarified that, because everybody was saying it was the mayor saying it. So I'm glad you clarified that. It's important for us to network out with the people that live in places, kind of like how Tack Daddy was explaining what was going down in Florida and cutting through some of the fake news there. So it's good that we're all over the place and we can straighten out the facts. I appreciate that.
So the facts are that is there going to be an NRA convention in Dallas?
Yes.
Right. There's your news of the day, right? I got to use my news cue sound.
Brought to you by Toyota.
Oh, Procter Gamble, the company we're boycotting.
Or hit or miss Tuesday nights at 9:00.
Oh God. Your Night Strike's cousin?
No.
Is that somebody else? All right.
Yeah. That's
Ellis.
Ellis, all right. I was going to give you my condolences.
Ellis is cool.
All right. Boy, I had something to say, but I'm trying to remember what it was. It seemed semi-important. Okay, yeah. Pop quiz. Name the quote from this film. Name the film from this quote. Let's see if I can remember the quote. It's a war with no battles, no monuments, and only casualties.
Hot for Red October.
Yeah, okay, you win. You nailed it right away.
I love that movie. That's when Captain Ramius is talking to his executive officer.
Yeah. Okay, you don't have to show off.
That's actually one of my favorite films.
I knew Dom.
Okay, if it's Ramius's quote, then we really needed Jared there so he could do his Sean Connery impersonation.
I sent him a link, dude. All I can do is send out links if people are working or going to school.
With no monuments.
Whoa, with no monuments. Oh, I can't even do it. Connery is hard to do for me. I can do Arnold pretty good. It sounds better when I don't have a frog in my throat.
All right, well, try Judgment Day is Inevitable. You got that? Can you do that one?
What? Say what now?
Judgment Day is Inevitable.
It was Connery or Arnold?
Arnold, obviously.
All right. Judgment Day is inevitable. I am the Cyberdyne Systems Model 101.
No, you're not convincing me.
Judgment Day is inevitable.
Judgment Day is inevitable.
Better.
Maybe it's my crappy microphone and my voice is being crappy.
Don't blame it on the mic. Come on, man.
Come on, get to the chopper. Ah. Oh, God.
Relax.
All right.
I'll do it for you when I can talk better. I started losing my voice about 2:00 this afternoon.
I'll let you have the police.
All right. I saw a really good war movie again last night. I've seen it before. It's from 1927 called Wings. It's a pretty good movie. 2 World War I pilots. It's a silent film. There's music, but it's a silent film. So it's called Wings. It's made in 1927. It's one of the first war movies. If you ever get to see it.
Because it was actually, I think, it was all cameras that they took up in airplanes. I mean, it was a pioneering film.
Yeah, it was a new thing.
I mean, who put a camera in an airplane? What? Are you kidding me? They really did it.
Well, it took them a while to come up with the idea of putting a gun in an airplane. And I think the Germans were the ones who invented the interrupter. Yeah, that allowed them to have a gun where you could shoot it through the propellers without shooting off the propellers. And they had to pay the Germans royalties.
Like, wait a minute, these guys lost. Wait, why do we got to pay them?
Well, anyway, all right. I'm going to check the external chat before we close this. Does anybody have any rants they want to go on before we end this week's Lock and Load chat?
Yeah, that sheriff in Broward County is a complete dirtbag scum, and he needs to be fired. And
Israel? Sheriff Israel, okay.
And now, I don't know about the officers if they were told to never go into a situation like that, because that's kind of stuff that's coming out. But if that was policy for them to not go in that school, then the sheriff is an ass. I mean, the sheriff's an ass, period. But
well, it seems like what the sheriff did when he was on CNN was he threw the NRA to the dogs because he wanted somebody to blame because he knew he screwed up and he wanted to blame somebody else.
Yeah. How can you blame somebody else when you got 4 of your deputies that didn't?
So what was the policy, to wait for overwhelming force for backup? I mean,
I don't know this.
That's what the policy was back during Columbine, and it's one of the things I've been bitching about since then, because that goes against the military training that I got, and they were cowering behind a damn fire truck waiting to assemble before they'd go in and blah blah blah. Meanwhile, kids are getting massacred. And when I was having a security meeting with the City of Auburn Hills, Michigan Police Department about active threat scenarios, they said, it's been our policy to do this for 20 years, us meaning law enforcement across America, and we've realized that doesn't work. And all we end up doing is getting more dead people when we don't go in. So now our policy is first officer on the scene goes into building, period. whether he's got backup, whether he's got anything more than a sidearm, whether he's just a beat cop or he's just an unmarked vehicle detective in the area. Whoever is the closest and gets there first gets in the building and tries to identify the threat as soon as possible, even if that means, you know, they're outgunned or whatever it is, because we've discovered over 20 years that waiting gets people killed. Well, no shit. All they had to do was ask a Marine that, and they would have got their answer 20 years ago.
Right. Well, it's
okay. Sorry, I guess I'm not done ranting over this thing. I'm still pissed off about it. I am. I am.
This rant was brought to you by.
They ought to me. They ought to bring up those officers on what was it? Criminal negligence. You know, I mean, that didn't do a damn thing. And that,
well, if they were just following a policy, then it's hard to fault them. But I mean, it's hard to fault them criminally. You could
policy. I get that, but if there was no such policy, and there's proof there wasn't any criminal negligence.
I bet you if that cop's kid was in that school, he wouldn't have waited for backup. He would have got his dumb ass in there. All this stuff about, you know, we want to go home at the end of the night too. Yes, we understand that, but you've got to understand the job you're in. If you're not willing to do that job, quit. We'll hire somebody who isn't afraid.
Did you hear that? I think Mr. Guns of Gear posted on Facebook this morning that the sheriff of Israel said in a statement, and this is on, you know, video, him speaking it. Hey, I hired the guy. I gave the guy a badge. I gave the guy a gun. I gave the guy training. If he didn't have the heart to go in that building, that's not my problem. I'm not responsible. I go, what? You're not responsible? You're the freaking sheriff. Oh my God. I want to fly to Florida to kick the guy's ass.
Yeah, somebody ought to send him a picture.
Patrick, tell me this. Tell me this though. Are you more mad because you're a parent or because you're a gun guy? I'm more mad because I'm a parent.
I'm more mad because I'm a parent because I mean I'm sending my kid to school next August with body armor in his damn backpack. You know, and he's going to be going to elementary school for the first time. I mean, I've got to do that. I shouldn't ever have to freaking do that. No parent should. But it pisses me off that, yeah, I'm a parent, but this is you're telling me you're not responsible for your men and women? Bullshit. I got responsibilities at work. You do. Everybody else does. And that's another thing. I'm tired of people not standing up.
Yeah, Harry Truman was the first president that had came up with a sign on his desk that said the buck stops here. And at some point, it's your responsibility. I understand if you're like dealing with somebody, a single lone suspect barricaded in a house, but if you got a whole school full of kids who are in danger of being exterminated, then you just have to go in and shooting. Kick the door down.
If you're not willing to risk your life to save the citizens, in particular children, unarmed children, then you don't deserve to wear that uniform and that badge. You're a disgrace.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I mean,
I got friends that are SWAT cops, and they all said that's horseshit.
You know, I understand that we aren't going to have SEAL Team 6 patrolling the halls of every school, but you don't have to be SEAL Team 6 to have a pair of balls. I mean, and go in.
Hell,
ready to save some lives.
If I was walking past school and I heard that crap going on in there, I'd want out of my wits. But then again, it's like me being a parent. Hell, I'll run in there with my damn fist. I don't care, because that's bullshit. I mean, God, cops just sat there like a bunch of freaking cowards. And then the sheriff gets out and totes and makes everybody else in America except for him and his men and women. Oh well, it's everybody else's fault. It's guns' fault. It's not my fault. It's not my problem. I didn't have anything to do with it. Bull crap. You know, it's disgusting.
Yeah, well, if you're gonna have a shootout, the first thing you need, if in any confrontation, is You have to be willing to fight.
Yeah. But that's their job.
I know.
I don't care what that damn court.
Maybe they think their job is just to go up, get paid, get their paycheck every week, drink some coffee, and don't eat some donuts, and make sure they go home every night. Well, no, your job is also to save people's lives. I mean, and
I know Yankee Marshall said that there was a court ruling on that years ago that no, cops don't have to do that. Well, I'm sorry.
We aren't talking about legal crap in a court of law. Where there was no, the court of law was people with guns who are killing children versus people with guns who want to save children. The due process is a bullet.
Yeah. Just God, it's just this stuff pisses me off to no end.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody is in a school shooting kids, then due process is a bullet.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's just I understand that it can be scary going into a school where you hear shots and you don't know how many shooters there are, what the situation is, or yeah, it can be scary if you're not prepared. And even if you are prepared, it's probably scary. But it's like, why are you don't just, it's like maybe some people just join up for their paycheck and they don't realize what they're signing up for. Being a cop is a tough job, but if you are a cop, then be a cop. It's like, but I'm not as mad as Squibb is, probably because he has kids in school and I don't. So, but
well, I know being a cop's not easy. I mean, hell, my buddy, he doesn't ever put anything on the internet because he's a cop and because of, my God, you do this one thing wrong that you had a fraction of a second. You're judged, or you lose your job, you lose your way of life, you lose everything, and that's bullshit. And they do have the freaking one of the toughest jobs in the world. But firemen don't just sit outside the building when the building's on fire.
They do if they think that something on an upper floor is going to come through and crush their head. They may wait for it to come crashing through. But those are volunteer firefighters, not paid ones. So, but yes, you're right. Yes. Look at the guys in 9/11. They ran into that building. Those buildings. One of them collapsed, and then they said pull out of the other building. But they were still bringing people out of the other building on the way. And one woman actually slowed them down, and they said, "Do we leave her or not?" And the guy said, "No, we don't leave her." And they ended up saving her too, even though she was slowing. She could have got at least 6 guys killed. When you sign up for a job, you sign up for a job. When I enlisted, I knew that there were places in the world I was going to go that weren't going to be as free as America, weren't going to be as safe as America. And I knew that there were terrorists out there that could see an American on liberty and we'd stick out like a sore thumb. And I knew that risk was there. Then I might not die in combat. I might get killed going to some damn bar in Europe because, they wanted to
kill some Americans. Yeah.
And when I started working on the aircraft, found out, how dangerous that was. You could get killed in training. You could get killed fixing a damn airplane in California as opposed to being out in, the sand in Iraq. So you can get killed anywhere, and there's all kinds of danger. But you know what? I knew that going in. My dad had a long talk with me about what it was like to be in Vietnam, and it was some scary shit. I still signed the papers. If these cops can't handle the job, don't do it. If you want to enlist in the military and you can't handle a job, then don't freaking do it. That's what I got to say. I would go back and do it again. If they needed me, I would go back and do it again.
Yeah, here's the thing about facing death. Okay, first of all, we are all going to die. And most people haven't really dealt with that ever. And, It can be a scary thing, or you'll just shrug it off, but it's a real thing. We're all going to die. It's just a question of how and when and why. And so I think a lot of people would like their life to, if nothing else, if their life doesn't count anything, maybe their death will. And if you can die, if you go out saving a bunch of school kids and you get shot trying to do it, well, that's not like the worst way to go out. If you have a choice of how to go out, really. So if an active shooter takes you out and you're the only cop there and you rush in and you're trying to save people, that's not a bad way to go out.
No, it ain't.
Even if you fail, that's not a bad way to go out.
Now I'm all worked up again. I was all calmed down. I've been all pissed off for over a week. I've had at least 4 arguments with other people on gun channels over this damn thing.
Sorry, Scott.
No, man, it's all right. It's all right. You said what needed to be said. You're absolutely right. And my first impulse when it comes to this stuff is the parent thing. My second impulse is the Second Amendment thing. If I thought getting rid of guns would keep my kids safe, I'd be all for gun control. But it's not. Getting rid of guns will actually put my children and my grandchildren in a more unsafe world. So I put my kids first. And anybody out there who's not a parent, you still have a right to say what you say and feel what you feel. But I guarantee you, your perspective would be different if you were a parent.
Well, everybody has different views on that and being a parent, but I guess it's just a question of how you want to live your life. But I think that it'll help everybody that's listening to this chat to just deal with the fact that one day you're going to die. You don't get to live forever. We're mortal. And once you get over that part, there's nothing to be afraid of.
True.
What's there to be afraid of? Dying is natural. Everybody does it without exception. Right? So anyway, on that cheery note, we're all doomed.
World game, it's over.
Tune in next week and we'll try and find some other cheery topic to talk about.
Well, Starman's flying around out somewhere in space, I mean, that's that in that car, the Tesla car. So
straws. Next week, more on the straw ban. Straw purchases, straw bans. All right. Thanks, everybody. God bless you guys. And thanks for tuning in to Lock and Load Show. We'll be here next week.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
I'll be back.
Later, everybody.